Most people think they're on the right road. That's the terrifying part. Jesus didn't warn the obvious villains. He didn't look at murderers or criminals or the worst people in the room. He looked at the crowd following him, people who prayed, people who fasted, people who called him Lord. And he said something that should have stopped the world. Most of you are going the wrong way. Not some, not a few on the edges, most. And then he said 5 words so unsettling that theologians have argued about them for 2,000 years. Few will find it. Few, not many, not most. Few. What did he mean? What is the it that almost no one finds? And the question that keeps me awake, is it possible to be deeply religious, sincerely devoted, genuinely convinced you are on the right path, and still be on the wrong road? What Jesus said next changes everything you think you know about salvation, about religion, about the life most people are actually living. The year is roughly 30 AD. Jesus is standing on a hillside outside Galilee. Thousands gathered. Not enemies, not skeptics, followers. People who had left their homes to find him. People who believed he was the Messiah. And to those people, in that moment, he says, "Enter through the narrow gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. Then, small is the gate and narrow the road that leads to life, and only a few find it." Matthew 7:13-14. Now, here is the question no one wants to sit with. If Jesus is speaking to his followers, if he is addressing people who already believe in him, who are the many? Who is on the wide road? And how would you know if it was you? Because the most dangerous road in the world isn't the one that looks dangerous. It's the one that looks exactly right. To understand what Jesus meant, we have to understand where he was standing. The Sermon on the Mount, the longest single teaching Jesus ever gave. 3 chapters of Matthew, chapters 5, 6, and 7. This isn't a casual conversation. This is the defining manifesto of what it means to follow him. And he saves the most shocking warning for the very end. Right before he closes, right before the crowd walks away, he says, "Most of you are going the wrong way." Now, the road he is describing, in first-century Jewish understanding, a gate was not abstract. Gates were real, literal entrance points to cities. The wide gate was the main road, the broad way, the path everyone used, the comfortable way, the obvious way. The narrow gate was the other one, smaller, harder to see, easy to miss. You had to look for it. You had to choose it specifically. Here is where it gets disturbing. The Greek word translated narrow is stenos. It doesn't just mean small, it means compressed, tight, pressing in on you from both sides. The image is not a gentle path through a meadow. The image is a passageway so tight that you have to take things off to get through. Baggage won't fit. Pride won't fit. The version of yourself you've been protecting won't fit. You have to go through it stripped. And Jesus says, most people won't do that. Most people will find the wide road and convince themselves it leads somewhere good. But here is the part that makes this the most troubling warning in all of Scripture. Jesus is not finished. Because immediately after this warning, he says something that takes the breath away. He describes people who will stand before God at the end and say, "Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name? Did we not drive out demons in your name? Did we not perform miracles in your name?" These are not atheists. These are not people who rejected God. These are people who performed miracles. And Jesus says, "I never knew you. Depart from me." Which means, it is entirely possible to have a religious life, a spiritual vocabulary, a ministry, a following, a testimony, and still be on the wide road. That should terrify us, and it should make us ask, what exactly is the narrow road? Let's go deeper, because the church has gotten this wrong for a very long time. The narrow road has been taught as rules, as restrictions, as a long list of things you cannot do. Don't drink, don't curse, don't miss church. Obey every commandment. Moral performance, religious compliance. And if that is your understanding of the narrow road, Jesus is not describing that. Not even close. Watch what he says just before the narrow gate warning. Matthew 7:12, the verse right before. So in everything, do to others what you would have them do to you. For this sums up the law and the prophets. The sentence immediately before the narrow gate is about love, relationship, how you treat people. That is not coincidence. Jesus is telling you what the narrow road is made of right before he tells you how few people find it. The narrow road is not a moral performance.
It is a transformed life. And here is the difference. Moral performance says, I follow the rules so God will accept me. Transformation says, I have been changed from the inside out, and that change is visible in how I love. One is about appearance, one is about reality. And the wide road is full of people who have mastered the appearance. Now let's talk about what the wide road actually looks like, because this is where it gets uncomfortably specific. Jesus gives us 4 markers earlier in the Sermon on the Mount. 4 descriptions of the wide road. Most people glide right past them. The first marker, Matthew 6:1. Be careful not to practice your righteousness in front of others to be seen by them. The wide road performs goodness for an audience, prayer as display, fasting as identity, generosity as reputation management. You give, but people need to know you gave. You serve, but you quietly make sure it's noticed. You post about your faith, but if no one responds, the motivation fades. Performance, audience, approval. Sound familiar? The second marker, Matthew 6:24. No one can serve 2 masters. The wide road tries to hold both, God and comfort, faith and full control, spiritual language and a life built entirely around personal ambition. Jesus doesn't say it's difficult to serve 2 masters. He says it's impossible. You will love one and despise the other. The wide road doesn't reject God. It just refuses to let God displace anything. The third marker, Matthew 7:3. Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? The wide road judges, obsessively. Not because these people are cruel, because judgment is the easiest way to feel righteous without doing the hard internal work. If I can find your sin, I don't have to face mine. The wide road is full of people holding everyone else accountable for the exact wounds they refuse to examine in themselves. The fourth marker, and this one is the most subtle, the most dangerous. Matthew 7:21. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom. The wide road uses the right language. It knows the right names. It speaks the right vocabulary. It attends the right services. It associates with the right community, and mistakes fluency for transformation. Knowing the language of the narrow road is not the same as walking it. Now let's ask the question everyone is afraid to ask. Why did Jesus say few? Was he being pessimistic? Was he trying to frighten people? Or was he telling the truth about something we desperately need to understand? The word few in Greek is oligos. It appears multiple times in the New Testament. It consistently means a small number. Not a symbolic few, not fewer than you'd expect, a genuinely small number. And the implication is staggering. If the majority of human beings default to the wide road, if religious activity, moral effort, and spiritual vocabulary are not enough to guarantee you're on the right one, then the narrow road requires something the wide road never asks for: honesty. Real, brutal, interior honesty. The narrow gate is tight because the only way through it is the truth about yourself. No performance survives it. No mask fits through it. No carefully managed version of you can get through that gate intact. You have to come as you actually are.
not as you want to be seen. And most people, even most religious people, would rather maintain the image than surrender it. That is why few find it. Not because God hid it from them, because the price of entrance is everything they've been protecting. But here is where it gets even more remarkable. Because Jesus does not say the narrow road is worse, he says it leads to life. The Greek word is zoe, not just existence, not just survival into eternity. Zoe means fullness of life, abundance, aliveness. The narrow road, the compressed, uncomfortable, strip everything off to get through road, leads to more life, not less. And the wide road, the comfortable, obvious, requires nothing of you road, leads to destruction. The Greek word there is apoleia, loss, ruin, waste. The wide road doesn't feel like destruction while you're on it. It feels normal, safe, reasonable. That's the trick. Destruction that announces itself is easy to avoid. It's the destruction that looks like comfort that takes most people. Now let's talk about the people in history who found the narrow road. Because they don't look like what we expect. They are not perfect people. They are not people without failure. Moses murdered a man, then spent 40 years in the desert being emptied. David committed adultery, arranged a murder to cover it, and then wrote Psalm 51, one of the most devastatingly honest prayers in Scripture. Create in me a clean heart, O God. Renew a right spirit within me. Not, God, ignore what I did. Not, God, overlook my record. Make me new.
That is narrow gate language. That is what the gate demands. That is why David, with all his failure, was called a man after God's own heart. Not because he was perfect, because when he failed, he went through the gate anyway, broken, honest, undisguised. Paul, tortured Christians before he became one, described himself as the chief of sinners, and then wrote more of the New Testament than anyone else. The pattern is always the same. The narrow road doesn't require that you have no failures. It requires that you stop pretending you don't. Let's be honest about something uncomfortable. The church in the West in the 21st century has built the widest, most comfortable version of the wide road in human history. Prosperity gospel that promises God owes you success. Services designed to never challenge anyone. Spiritual content that affirms every choice. A version of faith so agreeable it requires nothing. And millions of people are on it, sincerely, devotedly, completely convinced. And Jesus said, "Many enter through it." Not some, not a fringe, many. Now I am not saying those people are lost. I am not standing in judgment over anyone's salvation. But I am saying, Jesus warned us. He warned us that sincerity is not the same as accuracy. You can be sincerely on the wrong road, sincerely, genuinely, devotedly, and still be moving in the wrong direction. Because the wide road does not announce itself. It has a cross on the entrance. It has worship music playing. It has Bible verses painted on the walls. And it is still the wide road. Because the question is not, does this feel spiritual? The question is this actually changing you? The narrow road changes you. It has to. Because the compression of it, the tightness, forces things out of you that the wide road lets you keep. Bitterness, control, judgment of others, addiction to approval, the carefully maintained lie about who you really are. The narrow road takes all of that, and in return, it gives you Zoe, life, real life. The kind that doesn't depend on what other people think of you. The kind that doesn't collapse when circumstances do. The kind that looks death in the face and is not afraid. Few find it, but the ones who do, you can see it on them. Something is different, something in the eyes, something settled, something free. Now here is the moment in the story that almost no one teaches. Jesus doesn't just give the warning, he gives the invitation at the same time. Enter through the narrow gate. He doesn't say, good luck finding it. He doesn't say, most of you will fail. He says enter, imperative, active, present tense, available now. Enter.
He is not describing a door that is almost closed. He is describing a door that is open, right now, for you. And he is saying, choose it. Not the comfortable road, not the wide road everyone else is on. This one. The one that costs something. The one that requires honesty. The one that doesn't fit your carefully managed version of yourself. Enter. Here is what I believe Jesus was really saying, and it changed the way I read everything. The narrow road is not about restriction, it is about reality. Most people are living a constructed life, a life built around image, around performance, around what they can get the world to believe about them. The wide road is the road of constructed lives, comfortable, managed, never truly examined. The narrow road is the road of real lives, honest about failure, humble enough to be changed, present enough to actually love the person in front of you instead of managing how they perceive you. The narrow road is the more human road, and we keep running from it because the gate is so compressed it won't let us bring the false self through. But here's the revelation. The false self was never going to find life anyway. It was already on the road to destruction, not because God condemned it, because it was never real. You cannot have life by protecting a version of yourself that doesn't actually exist. The gate is narrow because it is the exact shape of the real you. Not the you that performs, not the you that has it together, not the you that other people approve of, the actual you. Flawed, uncertain, hungry for something more than applause. And when the real you goes through the real gate, Jesus calls it life. Zoe, full, abundant, unafraid. Now let's talk about the people who walk through it, because they are not the most impressive people in the room. Jesus made that clear in the same sermon. Blessed are the poor in spirit, not the spiritually wealthy, not the confident, not the ones who have it figured out. The poor in spirit, the ones who know they are running on empty. Blessed are those who mourn, not those who have avoided grief, not those who project joy as a spiritual achievement, those who have let themselves feel the weight of things. Blessed are the meek, not the powerful, not the platform builders, not the loudest voices in the room.
The meek. The narrow road starts there, with people who are honest about their poverty, real about their grief, unbothered by who gets the credit. These are not impressive people. They are transformed people. And transformation is quieter than performance. Always has been. Here is the part that should wreck us. Jesus said few will find it. Not few are invited. Not few are eligible. Not few deserve it. Few find it. The gate is open. The road exists. The invitation stands. The finding is the problem. Most people never find it because they are not looking for a road that costs something. They are looking for a road that confirms them. A road that says, you are fine as you are. You don't have to change. God loves you, and everyone else is the problem. And the wide road will tell you exactly that. Warmly, enthusiastically, with very good music. But the narrow road? The narrow road says something different. You are loved as you are, and that love will not leave you as you are. That is the difference. Loved as you are, not left as you are. Grace is not permission to stay the same. Grace is the power to become what you were made to be. And that becoming, that transformation, that is the narrow road. I want to speak to someone specific right now. Not the theologian, not the person with all the answers. The person who has been watching this and quietly wondering, am I on the right road? Maybe you have done all the religious things, checked all the boxes, shown up in all the right places, and something still feels hollow. Something still feels like performance, like you are managing the appearance of a life instead of actually living one. That hollow feeling? That is not condemnation. That is an invitation. That is the narrow gate making itself known. Because the gate only feels tight to the things that don't belong on the road. The real you, the honest, unperforming, I don't have it all together version of you, fits through it exactly.
You were made for the narrow road. You were built for Zoe, for full life, for the kind of aliveness that doesn't need an audience. And that road is available right now. Not after you fix everything. Not after you get your theology perfect. Not after you become someone more worthy of it. Now. Enter. That is still the word he uses. Present tense. Active. Available. Enter. Few will find it is not a verdict. It is a warning to the ones who still have time to choose. You are hearing this warning, which means you have time. The wide road will keep taking people who were never paying attention, who assumed the comfortable way was the right way, who built religious lives without ever letting religion build them. But you are paying attention, which means the narrow gate is directly in front of you. You can see it, and seeing it is already more than most people ever do. The narrow road does not ask for perfection. It asks for honesty. And the life on the other side of that gate, the real life, the full life, the unafraid life, has been waiting for you the entire time. The road is narrow, but it is real. And the life at the end of it is more than anything the wide road ever promised. Enter. Not tomorrow, not when you have it figured out. Now. The gate is open. The road is real. And few find it. But you are standing right in front of it. What Jesus called the narrow road is not a road that takes life from you. It is the only road that gives it back. The full version. The real version. The one you stopped believing was still possible. The path is not crowded, but it is lit. And somewhere ahead on that road are the ones who chose it. Broken people made whole. Empty people made full. Failed people made purposeful. Peter is on that road. Paul is on that road. David is on that road. Every honest, transformed, unperforming human being who ever let the gate cost them something is on that road. And there is room for one more. Enter through the narrow gate. He is still saying it, right now, to you. Enter. The road is narrow because it was made for the real you, not the performed version. And the real you has been waiting to walk it for a very long time. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. Jeremiah 29:11. The narrow road leads there, not the wide one. Choose the gate. If this found you at the right moment, share it with someone standing at the same gate. Subscribe because the next story goes even deeper. The comment section is open. Tell me, which road have you been on?